Wife cheated, got pregnant and left me for another man. So for starters, I met my wife in January-February of 2021 and got married in October 2021. One night after I came home from work, at the time I worked 3 to 11 p.m., she told me that she was pregnant. I ended up marrying her not only for the child but because I genuinely did love her and wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. I know I necessarily didn't have to marry her to be there for her and the child, but I felt like it showed that I cared and was taking up the responsibility. Sadly, we had a miscarriage along the way. We spent basically all of our time together ever since. The only times we spent apart were business trips. I loved spending time with her and just loved being around her. She was so kind, caring, funny and supportive. She ended up deploying earlier this year in March. This was the first time we actually had to spend a decent amount of time away from each other. However, I felt like we were strong enough to get through this. Everything was going good around the first half of the deployment until right around July when she started giving me weird vibes. Just felt distant and always busy. I asked her what was going on and said that she had been feeling like she feels like she wants to see other people but stated that she wants to be with me and that she loves me. At that instant I should have seen that something was wrong, but I trusted her. She then mentioned that she had been hanging out with a coworker that I never heard of. She told me he was just a friend. Also another flag I should have read but again chose to trust her. In August, she told me she had been cheating on me and wanted a divorce when she returned. At that time I tried fighting for the marriage, but now I feel like a fool trying to save something that was guaranteed to fail. She had told me that she just didn't love me anymore and loved another guy, her coworker. She got back in October and started the divorce process. I tried dragging it out as much as possible to see if anything would change or if something would pop up that would benefit me. However, nothing happened and the divorce was finalized in November. Throughout this whole ordeal she had treated me like I was the villain. She didn't want to talk to me and was very rude to me when I did try with her. She rushed the divorce, which made me wonder if she had something she was hiding. Come to find out through one of her now former friends is that she actually did get pregnant while she was deployed. It sucks to say this, but it hurt a lot to hear it. I felt like I was finally accepting it and moving on, but this information sent me back a couple of paces. I was also informed that she had given up her dream of being in the military to live with this guy in another state as a stay-at-home mom while he works at his family's business. Based off of her friend is that my ex wasn't who she remembered her to be. These two had known each other since middle school and were very close. Upon hearing about the infidelity, her friend tried to talk to my ex about it, but she wasn't listening to her. After the divorce, she tried introducing her AP to her friend, but the friend denied and told her that what she did was wrong and didn't support her relationship. Since then the two don't really talk anymore. The woman I once knew has undeniably changed, as I no longer recognize her. She had given up everything to be with this man and her personality pulled a 180. I'm genuinely disappointed in her for choosing to go down this path. It's so hard to comprehend her decisions. How can someone just change like that? Why choose to do all this for one person?
I, 24F, broke up with my boyfriend, 25M, of 4 years after the worst day of our lives. He is calling me cruel. Was I unreasonable? About a month ago, I broke up with my BF of 4.5 years. Just a few days beforehand, we had discussed marriage and kids. The day of the breakup, he got belligerently drunk, sexually assaulted my best friend and then put both of our lives in danger. I won't go into detail, but later on he said he was thankful that I didn't call the police on him. I broke up with him that night and had his brother pick him up from my house. He claims to not recall anything that happened, due to being blacked out drunk. Like I mentioned, previous to this day we had a great relationship, but once I broke things off, I realized how toxic it was. I was codependent on him and my only priority was his happiness and safety. I was fearful of him and tiptoed around topics that he was sensitive to, mainly having to do with stability, like, when would you get a job? When will we move in? What plans do you have for the future? Etc. When we broke up, it's like the goggles were off and I was seeing the relationship for what it truly was. The day after the breakup he was blowing up my phone asking why I had broken up our 4.5-year relationship over one bad day. I asked for space and we didn't talk for a week. At the end of the week, we had a 20-minute phone call conversation where I explained why this relationship was toxic for the both of us and how we neglected parts of ourselves to force it to happen. Like two puzzle pieces that don't fit. By the end of the phone call, we were on the same page and agreed that we didn't need to have further conversations about the relationship. Over the past 2 weeks or so, he has kept messaging me begging to get back together and bringing up all of the different ways that he will change. I would reply but keep the message short and to the point that we would not be getting back together. Last night really irritated me because he said I was being cruel for being short with him and not willing to discuss further why our relationship went downhill so quickly. He also said that he would be blocking my cell phone and overall just made me feel like crap. Do I owe him a conversation? I can't help but feel lousy about how things ended even though it was perhaps the most fearful day of my life. TLDR broke up with my BF of 4.5 years after he crossed several boundaries while drunk, SA and endangering our lives to name two. In his eyes, he woke up the next morning blindsided as to why he was now single. He thinks I'm cruel and I am starting to feel lousy about it.